Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, my name is Kim. This is Core Union. I wanted to read a little bit of The Law and the Promise again. There's a particular story that I want to tell that Neville writes about in his book that I just think will help illustrate how revision really does work in terms of manifesting. This is going to help many of you guys out there. So please just stop questioning the process so much and start going into this in a very simple way and do what I did in the beginning when I was learning how to manifest. I didn't even have, I never read anything on the subject. It was more of a very natural process that I started noticing. Like if I experienced something, so for example, with a boss or somebody, and if it hurt my feelings, I kind of naturally, just like a child, I went into my imagination and I saw it happen differently. And so what ended up happening was I started really noticing that when I did that, then the experience would change. And so I repeated that as I kept getting older. I would do it more and more and more. And then it just becomes a skill. And again, part of the skill is really learning how to just release and let go of the things that happened, go into this trust. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to read this. Before I do get into this, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel if you love my content. And if you want me to help you manifest your specific person back or change the relationship to improve it, or anything related to money, if you want to make six figures, just email me a short description to kim@coreunion.com. And then I will send you my availability after you book your session on my website, coreunion.com. You can do a 30-minute session, 60-minute session, or a package. Packages just makes it more affordable. It's just as simple as that. So do whatever you want. But I'm going to read here from The Law and the Promise. The following story illustrates the way in which a lady prepared her stately habitation by imaginatively sleeping in it or dwelling therein. And before I go into this, when I was in separation from Hannah, I was imagining every night going to sleep side by side, cuddling, kissing, and feeling the weight of his body on top of me or next to me. And I also imagined when I first woke up, also him being there. I didn't have to, I didn't get upset if I suddenly realized he wasn't there. I just knew and I trusted in the process. That, guys, is a key. Okay. So here we go. So a few months ago, my husband decided to place our home on the market. The main objective for the move, which we had discussed many times, was to find a home large enough for the two of us, my mother and my aunt, in addition to 10 cats, 3 dogs, and 1 parakeet. Believe it or not, the contemplated move was my husband's idea, as he loved my mother and aunt and said I was at their house most of the time anyway. So why not live together and pay one tax bill? I liked the idea tremendously, but I knew that this new home would have to be something very special in size, location, and arrangement, as I insisted on privacy for all concerned. So at the moment, I was undecided whether to sell our present home or not, but I didn't argue, as I knew quite well from past experience with imagining that our house would never sell until I stopped sleeping in it. 2 months and 4 or 5 real estate brokers later, my husband had given up on the sale of our house, and so had the brokers. I had so many experiences like this, guys. At this point, I had convinced myself I now wanted the change. So for 4 nights in my imagination, I went to sleep to the kind of home I would like to own. On the 5th day, my husband had an appointment at a friend's home, and while there, met a stranger who just happened to be looking for a house in the hills. He was, of course, brought swiftly back to see our house, which he walked through once and said, "I'll buy it." This didn't make us very popular with the brokers, but that was all right with me, as I was happy to keep the broker's commission in the family. We moved within 10 days and stayed with my mother while looking for our new home. We listed our requirements with every agent on the Sunset Strip only, because I wouldn't move out of the area. And each one of them, without exception, informed us we were both mad. It was entirely impossible, they said, to find an older home of English style with 2 separate living rooms, separate apartments, a library, and built on a flat knoll with enough ground space to fence for our large dogs, and located in one particular area. When we told them the price we would pay for this house, they just looked very sad. I said that wasn't all I wanted. We wanted wood paneling all through the house, a huge fireplace, a magnificent view and seclusion. No close neighbors, please. At this point, the lady agent would giggle and remind me that there was no such house. But if there were, they would realize 5 times they were willing to pay. But I knew there was such a house because my imagination had been sleeping in it. And if I am my imagination, then I had been sleeping in it. By the second week, we had exhausted 5 real estate offices, and the gentleman in the 6th office was looking a little wild when one of his partners, who had not spoken until then, said, "Why don't you show them the place up on Kings Road?" A third partner in the office laughed sourly and said, "That property isn't even listed. And besides, the old lady would throw you off the property. She's got 2 acres up there, and you know she wouldn't split." Well, I didn't know that she wouldn't split, but my interest had been aroused by the street name, for I liked that particular area best of all. So I asked, why not just take a look anyway for laughs? As we drove up the street and turned off onto the private road, we approached a large 2-story house built of redwood and brick, English in appearance, surrounded by tall trees and sitting alone aloof on its own knoll. Viewing the city below from all its many windows, I felt a peculiar excitement as we walked to the front door, and we were greeted by a lovely woman who graciously asked us in. I do not think I breathed for the next minute or two, for I had walked into the most exquisite room I had ever seen. The solid redwood walls and the brick of a great fireplace rose to a height of 28 feet, terminating in an arched ceiling joined together by huge redwood beams. The room was straight out of Dickens, and I could almost hear Christmas carolers singing in the balcony of the upstairs dining room, which looked out over the living room. A great cathedral window gave a view of sky, mountains, and city far below. We were shown through a spacious apartment on the lower floor. 2 staircases led upward to a long hall opening into 2 separate bedrooms and baths. And at the end of the hall, yes, was a second living room opening out into a second patio screened by trees and redwood fences. Built on 2 acres of beautifully landscaped grounds, I began to understand what the agent had meant by saying she would never split. For one acre stood a large swimming pool, and the pool house completely separated from the main house, but undoubtedly belonged to it. It did indeed seem to be an impossible situation, as we did not want 2 acres of highly taxable property plus a swimming pool a block away from the house. Before we left, I walked through that magnificent living room once more, going up the stairs to the dining room balcony. I turned and I looked down, and I saw my husband standing there by the fireplace, pipe in hand, with an expression of perfect satisfaction on his face. I placed my hands on the balcony railing and I watched him for a moment. When we were back in the real estate office, the 3 agents were ready to close for the day, but my husband detained them by saying, "Let's make her an offer anyway. Maybe she will split the property. What can we lose?" One agent left the office without a word. Another said the idea is ridiculous. The agent we had originally talked to said, "Forget it. It's a pipe dream." My husband is not easily annoyed, but then when he is, there is no more stubborn creature on earth. He was now annoyed. He sat down, slammed his hand on a desk, and roared, "It's your business to submit offers, isn't it?" They agreed that this was so and finally promised to submit an offer on the property. We left, and that night, in my imagination, I stood in that dining room balcony and I looked down at my husband standing by the fireplace. He looked up at me and said, "Well, honey, how do you like our new home?" I said, "I love it." I continued to see that beautiful room and my husband in it, and felt the balcony railing gripped in my hands until I fell asleep. The next day, as we were having dinner at my mother's house, the telephone rang, and the agent, in an believing voice, informed me that we had just purchased the house. The owner had split the property right down the middle, giving us the house and the acre it stood on for the price we offered. Quote unquote, dreamers often lie in bed awake while they do dreaming, let me back up. Dreamers often lie in bed awake while they do dream things true. So here, the thing is that you can't allow, when you know deep down in your soul what you want and you get clear on it, you can't allow 3D circumstances, no matter what they are, to sway you. When people in your reality are opposing something that's so deep down in your heart and soul, you can feel it. You know that this is true. You know that this is where you belong or who you belong with. You know that this is the life that you want to live. From my perspective, with him even though Neville doesn't necessarily say this, this is my perspective because this is how I see life and manifestation. They were so clear about what they wanted in the area that they wanted, in the home that they wanted, with all of the dogs, the cats, the parakeet, having the mother and the aunt all living together in the exact area, seeing the house, feeling the house, before they even saw that it existed. From my perspective, it's because all time is an illusion, that everything is existing now, already existing before we even existed. So there was already a life that was of the highest and best version of him, his family, and their home, that he was actually just becoming aware of. In other words, that already existed where he was in that exact style home, because that was his home that he was becoming aware of energetically and emotionally through his desire. When they made the conscious choice to let go of where they were living and to just imagine themselves in the home, then everything in the reality, like they already accepted it and everything in the reality was already unfolding. I want to point something out here. They took action, right? They remember the part of the story where they went out and they were looking at different homes. They were taking actions. They were having conversations with different real estate brokers. That means that they were looking up real estate brokers. They were scheduling meetings with them. They were being told no over and over and over and over again, and they didn't allow their dream and their focus to be swayed by it. Also, let's keep in mind at the point where the husband got really pissed off and he slammed his hand down and he said, because the broker was saying, like, no, we're not going to make the offer. He said, hold on, it's your business. It is your business to make offers, correct? And then the brokers agreed to do it and they did it. And then everything unfolded. It doesn't mean, please don't get caught up in meaning that your experience is going to be exactly like this. The takeaway from this is revision, is trusting, and is falling asleep and waking up in the wish fulfilled. So again, if it's just being together with your specific person in your own home together, fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled with your person. Wake up in the state of the wish fulfilled with your person. When people say things like, and I'm going to just go into specific person really quick for the end of this. When people say that the only way to manifest your specific person is by not manifesting a specific person. In other words, you can't think about your specific person too much. If you do that, you're going to chase them away and things like that. It's really how you're thinking about your specific person. From my perspective, when me and my Marisol Hannah were separated, I thought of it this way. If we were living together in the life, our dream life together, I would be aware of Hannah like all day. No matter what I was doing, I'd be aware of him. And we would be spending a lot of quality time together, in between sessions, while we're both working from home, and maybe on a lunch break, we would eat lunch together. We would be laughing together. Maybe we'd be making out. We would listen to music at night while we're cooking together. There would be a lot of laughter, a lot of joy, a lot of playful things, watching movies together, going shopping together, working out together, all of these things. So while I was separated from Hannah, not having any proof or evidence of anything that I was doing working, I trusted so deeply in it that I was basically spending that amount of time energetically and emotionally with Hannah. It doesn't mean that there weren't times throughout the day where I was aware that I was not living with Hannah. It's that I just didn't get in my own way with things. I kept it really super simple, to the point, trusting in the process. And I also had a very keen awareness that we're not separate. Like, we might be in two separate bodies, but we share the same consciousness. It's like we share the same heart, we share the same consciousness, we share the same mind. Of course, he's an individual, I'm an individual. I'm not saying that, but I was just very much aware that when I was in trust and in love, I knew that he was in trust and love. When I was healing, he was healing. And I just trusted in the process. And I knew that whatever we were going through was contributing to a happy life together. So anyway, I hope that this video was of some value to you guys. Reach out to me if you need me. Please comment down below please comment down below that you know and you trust that whatever it is that you want in your life exists already. You know that it's done, and you're going to remain in complete 100% trust and faith and allow it to happen. Okay. I will talk to you soon. I hope that this video helped you guys. I love you so much. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Nothing can come, nothing can come, nothing can come between us.